Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome to my safe space on the internet. I hope you enjoy your time here. Today's video, as you can tell by the title, is a very interesting idea. I don't know if you know. I don't know if you're a fan of the Kar-Jenners or of the empire that they built. The youngest of the Kar-Jenners, Kylie and Kendall Jenner, wrote a book in the good old year of 2014, and I was obsessed with the Kar-Jenners for the longest time. I rewatched all the seasons of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and that was my guilty pleasure for the longest time. I started talking on the phone on speaker because of that's something that they did all the time. Chloe Money was my girl, and I was buying lip kits left and right. Best believe I supported that, and I wanted to be a PacSun girly because of Kendall and Kylie. What brings us here? I'm so glad you asked. Today we're going to be reading the infamous book that Kendall and Kylie and a third author wrote in the year of 2014. This is what it looks like. I never remember the name of it for some freaking reason. I know it's Indra something. I know it's about Lex and Livia, who are siblings, apparently sisters, maybe, possibly, I don't know. I have not heard anything about this book. I've not seen anyone read that book. I've not seen anyone talk about it. I've not seen anyone give their review on it. I don't even look it up on Goodreads. It's not on my TBR, but I thought, why not read it as an experiment for this video? Because I want to know if people are hating on it because it's genuinely bad, or if they're hating on it because it's just Kendall and Kylie, and I don't see them really ever writing a book or reading, so therefore it's a little bit strange. And I think the third author probably did most of the work and they just put their name on the book. That's just my opinion though. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing this week. Basically, to sum it up, we're just going to be reading the Kendall and Kylie Jenner book that is out there, and hopefully it's not as bad as everybody says that it is. So let's find out together, shall we? I cannot find it anywhere to actually have a physical copy of it. I don't know why. My library doesn't have it for some reason, and they don't even have an ebook version of it, which is so very strange because my library has a lot of books, and I figure it's probably because it's very old and not a lot of people read it, so it would be a kind of loss for them to have it in the first place. So I'm not really all that mad about it. So because my library doesn't have it and I don't want to purchase a actual physical copy for myself because I don't really think I'm going to be the biggest fan of this book, I have decided to get it on ebook because it's cheaper obviously, and I don't get to look at it constantly on my shelves, which I don't want that for myself. The plan is to finish it as soon as possible so I don't have to think about it, because as much as everybody else, I went through a phase in my life where I was obsessed with the Kar-Jenners. I think Kylie became my favorite during her King Kylie era. So I know a lot about the Kar-Jenners, and I was obsessed with Keeping Up with the Kardashians. They were like the it girls. They were very popular, and I never really was interested in reading this book because I don't think that Kendall or Kylie really had much to do with the writing of this book or with the concept of it. I think they were sold the idea, and they sold their name basically. They're selling their name on this book. I don't personally think either of them wrote anything about it. I don't even think if either of them knows what the book is about, to be honest. That may be just me passing judgments on both of them, but they don't really strike me as the type to read. Even Kendall, I think she just reads because it's popular. I don't know. I don't want to judge them as people, but when it comes to this book, I have never been interested in it just because I don't think either of them really wrote anything in it or contributed anything. I think the ghostwriter basically wrote the entirety of the thing, I want to say. So I just thought it would be interesting to read and to see if I actually like the concept or not, because why not? You know, like, it's good content. The book is there. I might as well read it. I might as well tell you my opinion about it because I don't know, like, I thought this would be an easy video, not be reading like 3 books for a video. This would be just the one book, and I'll tell you my thoughts about it. I don't know if it's going to be spoilery or not. I guess I'll see as I continue on with the book because I haven't started it yet. But if I start it and I feel like talking about it, it will probably be spoilery because why not? You know, like, this book has been out for years, if not a whole entire decade at this point. I don't know when they released it, but I assume it had to have been around 2014, 2015, if not earlier. So I feel like the book is out there if you want to read it. I don't think anybody really cares if they get spoiled on this. I don't know what it's about. Let's see. I'm gonna look up the ratings and the summary on Goodreads. So yeah. Oh, that's bad. That's crazy. Okay, so the book is called Rebels, City of Indra, the story of Lex and Livia. And apparently it's a series, from what I can see. There's apparently 2 books on so it's a duology. And it's co-authored by Maya Sloan, which I think probably did most of the work, if not more. I don't know if Maya Sloan has any other works. Oh, so she has, a lot of her works is not very highly rated, and her last book was published in 2014. So it doesn't sound very good. This is what the book looks like. It was very popular at the time. You can see the star rating right there. It has 2.87 stars on Goodreads, and it's rated by 1,413 people, 289 reviews. This is very poorly rated. 2.8 is crazy. I don't think I've ever read a book that poorly rated ever. A lot of people, like the last 3 reviews on here have been just 1-star reviews. No one I know has read this. Kendall and Kylie Jenner, stars on the hit reality TV show Keeping Up with the Kardashians, present their debut novel, a thrilling dystopian story about 2 superpowered girls who embark on a journey together. 2 cities, 2 girls, a shared destiny. In a world of the far future, the great city of Indra has 2 faces, a beautiful paradise floating high in the sky, and a nightmare world of poverty carved into tunnels beneath the surface of the earth. Kendall and Kylie Jenner, the youngest sisters in the Kardashian dynasty, have written a gripping tale of air, fire, and a bond of blood. Who wrote this? Who wrote this description? Because apparently not a lot of people agree with that. So it's a dystopian, which I'm not surprised about because it was released June 3rd, 2014, which was the age of dystopians. I think most of the books that were being released around that time were like off of the Hunger Games and Divergent and Shatter Me. Like all of those came around the same time. And so I think Kendall and Kylie did really well releasing a dystopian because that was the era that we were in when it comes to books. 256 is actually not that many pages. I think that will be very easy to read. I'll probably finish it in 2 days, if not 3 days. The cover is nice, but the cover being great doesn't really sell the book if it's that poorly rated. That's what we're gonna be doing. I'm gonna be reading it on ebook, like I said. Wish me luck. It doesn't seem very promising at all. Not very excited, and I'm kind of dreading it because Maya Sloan on its own, even if she was the only one who actually put in the work on the writing, her works aren't really very highly rated either on Goodreads. So that makes me very nervous. Welcome back. So obviously you saw me. I still don't know the name of the book. I don't think I'm going to continue to try to say the name of the book. You already know what book I'm reading, you know, so I don't really feel the need to say the name, so I don't really remember the name. All I know is that it's Lex and Livia. Those are the 2 main characters of this book. I'm 100 pages in, which I think is 40% in, something like that. The ebook that I have is 250 something pages, so I think I'll be done with it probably, I want to say tomorrow. I don't know if that's very logical though, because reading this book is such a chore. That's the best way I can describe it. It's such a chore. I found myself really struggling getting through the first like 50 pages, and then the second 50 pages just took forever. I don't like the characters. Nothing is happening. Not a singular thing is happening. I don't care about the characters. I don't like the way it's written. Half of the sentences that I'm reading feel incomplete, like an incomplete thought, but then there's a period and I'm like, how did we get here? Because it doesn't make sense. The thoughts just feel incomplete. The Livia chapters are a lot longer than the Lex chapters. For some reason, I don't know why that is. Livia chapters are basically like 10 pages, 11 pages, sometimes 12 pages, but the Lex chapters are like 5 pages, 7 pages max. So I feel like we get more of Livia's point of view, and I don't like her. I don't like her, and I don't like Lex either, to be honest. They feel very like, at least Livia feels very, I'm not like other girls. I think there was a scene, like there was a clip of me when I filmed that sentence. She's like, I'm not like other girls. And I get this was published in 2014, so it was very of the time and very of the dystopian of the time that we were reading at that point. But I just don't like it. I'm struggling to get through these chapters, and I'm struggling to get through to actually get to know who these characters are and get to know what's going on in the story, because as far as I am right now in the book, nothing is really happening. We just see Livia basically training, and we see Lex be an orphan that no one likes. And they're both orphans, obviously, because they're sisters, I think, but I really just don't like the story. I find myself really like wanting to DNF it, and it feels very like I have to push myself to continue reading it, because obviously I'm reading it for this video, but if I wasn't reading it for this video, I don't think that I would have continued reading it, because it's just so boring and so lackluster, and there's nothing going on, and I'm 100 pages in. I'm 40% in. Like, you would think something interesting had happened by now. There was like a romance that was kind of lame, and I didn't really care for it, and I don't really care for the characters if they do get a romance or not. I don't find the plot interesting. I'm just not having a good time, basically. Yeah. So I think the only way that I would finish the book tomorrow is if I spend my entire day reading like as much as I can of the book as possible, so I don't have to spend another day with it, because I don't think that I could possibly sit there and read this book for longer, because I could obviously like split it into thirds where I could read like 100 pages today, 100 pages tomorrow, and then 50 pages on the third day, or however many is left. But I don't want to spend any more time with it than I have to, and nothing is really happening, so it's easy to just skim. And I'm not gonna lie, I have found myself like skimming the like amount of description that there is. Like, I just skim because I don't really care to know the story, because nothing is happening, and the characters are boring and annoying and very whiny. And I get that they're young, and obviously this book was written in 2014, so at the time most of the characters we were reading about were like whiny and whatever, until they find out that they're the chosen ones, and then they kind of have to, you know, become the heroine of the story. But this one just feels like they're both just so whiny and so unlikable, and there's not a singular character that I care about. I just don't care. That's the best way to summarize it, is I don't care. I don't care to know these characters. I don't care to know the story. I would have DNF'd it if I wasn't reading it for this video, but that's where we are. And as much as I would love to get more content of me reading it over more days, I also just find myself wanting to like move on as fast as possible, because there are books that I would like to get to that I'm more excited for than this disaster of a book. That's my thoughts for now. Hey you guys, I'm back. So, I have spent all day reading the Kylie Kendall Jenner book. I only have the epilogue left. I am like 96% in. The epilogue is like 10 pages, and then you have like the thank you and the dedication or the acknowledgement and all of that. I am struggling. I have struggled so much with this entire book. This book is so not entertaining. There's no plot, there's nothing happening, and even when there is something happening, it feels so lackluster because you don't really care for the characters. I don't really care what's happening, to be honest. I'm just reading it to like read it. I'm not really processing anything that's going on. I don't care about any of the characters to care. like if something bad happens to them or if they go through something very, very bad or something very dangerous. I don't really care for them, to be honest. I want to save all of my really in-depth like thoughts until I'm giving you the review at the end, but I just don't know. I'm just really not having a good time with this book. I'm not vibing with this book. I'm so glad I'm almost done with it. It just feels very like of the time of 2014. Maybe if I had read it in 2014 when I was younger, I would have enjoyed it, but I'm an adult now and it's 10 years later and it did not age well. The characters are so lackluster. There's no depth to them. I don't really like them. The romance that's in there that's happening basically feels like it was just added to the plot to have some romance added into the plot, because otherwise the book would be boring, which it is anyways. Even with the romance, there's no depth. There's no depth to it. There's no depth to the characters. There's no like chemistry between the characters. It just kind of just throws everything at you, which is so irritating because I'm like, where is the logical timeline that we're following? Because there is no timeline that we're following. And when it comes to the world building, they just kind of tell you something randomly. Like there's no elaboration on it. There's nothing happening. The book feels very, like I said, it ends in very abrupt sentences. It doesn't feel like the sentences are ending on a full complete thought. They're just ending. And I'm like, what? Okay, where's the rest of it? I am aware that probably Kendall and Kylie didn't really do much writing because obviously they were kids at the time. They were very, very young, and there's no way like a 16, 17-year-old wrote a book. It's just so lackluster, and it lacks depth, and it lacks a story, and it lacks heart, and it lacks like, you know, when you read a book and when you read a book, you like love the characters or you enjoy the plot or you enjoy the world or you enjoy something about it that makes you want to continue reading it. This book has nothing like that. It doesn't feel like it's been thought out. It doesn't feel like it's been fleshed out. The story feels like it was just like, oh, why don't we just add this in here? And they just added something in there, like at the randomest times. So I'm just really struggling with it. I'm really struggling with the story. I'm struggling with the writing style. I'm struggling with the characters as a whole and the relationships between the characters. I just don't know. I just don't know. I'm just very happy to almost be done with it because it just feels so boring, so mind-numbingly boring, and I do not care for any of these characters, and I've read 250 pages of them, and I do not care. Finished, thank God you saw me finish the Rebels City of Indra, the story of Lix and Levia by Kendall Jenner, Kylie Jenner, and Maya Sloan, and I gave it 1 star because honestly, the way that this book was going on, it was just not me. It was not the vibe. I did not like it. Nothing really happened, and when it did happen, it felt like it was just happening to like have some semblance of a plot. It didn't feel like there was a plot. I didn't care about the characters. Didn't care about the plot line, didn't really care about the world. The world building was very, very not great. The character development was not great. I didn't understand half of the things I read because none of it made sense. And when it did make sense, it was like, why is this happening? It doesn't make sense that it would happen. Olivia is like one of these, like, I'm not like other girls type of girl, and I don't really like reading about any of that because there wasn't any character development where you felt like she actually moved past that personality trait, and there really wasn't any character development when it came to any of the characters. It felt like the romance happened because for the sake of having a romance in the book. It didn't feel like it was very developed. It didn't have any depth. None of the characters had depth. The plotline didn't have depth. The book as a whole, there was no depth. There was no like, oh, I care about these characters, I care about what's going on. I think that Kendall and Kylie just basically sold their name for this book because Dystopian was popular at the time. I don't think they really cared about the story. I don't think they even know what the story is about, to be honest, if you were to ask them about it now. I just don't know. I just really didn't like this book. I didn't like my experience with it. I know I read it in 2 days, but the reason why I read it in 2 days was because I just wanted to be done with it and I wanted to move on and I did not want to think about it. It's my lowest rated book, I think, this year, and it will probably remain that way for probably a few more years because I don't really usually read 1-star books. I don't think Kylie and Kendall cared. I think they just wanted a cash grab, and honestly, that's just the way it seems to me. I don't know. If you've read it, let me know down below if you liked it, if you gave it any ratings. This video comes to an end, thank God. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you have watched all the way to the end, that means the world to me. And let me know down below if you've read this book or if you've heard anybody read it and talk about it because I don't know anyone in my life that actually has read this book, and I think it would be interesting to have a conversation about it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have the best day. Treat yourself to something nice, and I will see you guys in the next week with hopefully a better video. Bye guys.